Hi, I'm Rick Conlow. Thank you for coming to the Succeeding as a Leader webinar series. Welcome. I'm going to talk to you about 4 goals today. Go over each one of them briefly. I'm going to talk about the state of management today. I'm going to give you my story, a brief version of it. I'll share a secret sauce leadership tip that few managers know. And then I'll do a little sum up and go through a few details in the webinar. How does that sound? All right, let's get into it. Take a look at this slide here. What do you see at first glance? Just take a look at it. Got it? First glance, what do you got? All right. Now, did you have this? That second equation is wrong, isn't it? Yeah. 12 minus 5 is not 6, it's 7. Now, also note, though, that 2 others are right. And I think this relates a bit to the state of management today. Challenging. Whirlwind, you've heard that phrase before. And I'd like you to think about what you're thinking about your management and what's going on with it, what your hopes are, what your goals are, what you'd like for your career. How can you impact those employees that you work with? And I hesitate there a little bit because, employee engagement is only about 15% worldwide, which means nearly 9 out of 10 employees are disengaged. And so many managers are failing today. Gallup says 82%. So think about what you're thinking. See if some of these relate to you. I found that these relate to some of the managers that I deal with. Not all of them for everybody, but some of them for most of them. And take a look at them. Employee no-shows. They come in sick, they have needs, all of that. Hard to get good employees today. Upper management changes. Here's the priority, and then tomorrow here's the priority. And then the priorities change. One organization I came in contact with, they said, Rick, we have 100 priorities. And in the meetings you see the managers slink in their chairs because of what's going on. Then you got your plan for the day when you come to work or your week, and then your boss has requests and adjustments, and it adds to the work. Then there's customer issues that come up. I mean, that's not bad. We're there to help customers. We want to fix them, but how many you have and what they're about, it takes time. And then there's surveys to follow up on, reports and documentations you have to do, marketing initiatives to deal with. Wow, HR compliance. Some HR groups are cop-oriented today. Don't mean to offend anybody, but they're focusing more on policies and procedures than they are on people and being performance consultants. And so then the managers got to do it, because if they don't, they're going to get back to you. Then there's inventory and merchandising and meetings. How many of the meetings start on time and end on time? Most of them start late and then they go on for way too long. Am I right? Can you relate to some of this? And then it's just the whirlwind. There's other issues. This isn't a comprehensive list. Let's not get depressed here. And, there's COVID today and working at home. And then all the technological changes that are never ending. It's the state that we're in business today. They call it the novel economy. Well, can you relate to these? This is difficult. And then we're charged with reaching or exceeding the goals. Bigger goals, not smaller goals. Stiff competition up there, high standards, and we got to make some money, and here we go. And then, how do you have time for your people with all this stuff? You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about. That's what we experience managers. Now, my story fits into this because there's lots of stress and anxiety and pressure. And not only do we spend a lot of time at work, check me if I'm wrong, we bring the work home too. There's a new philosophy out there, entrepreneurs and startups, that you're really not going to do anything significant unless you work a 100-hour week. Are you kidding me? But that's the mentality a lot of folks have. Challenging. Difficult. It isn't easy. Management's never been easy, but it's even harder today. Now, my story. I was a manager just like you, working in an organization, graduated from college, got this job that dealt with educational programs. Working my way, doing a pretty good job. The boss, pretty good leader, she left. I got the job. Wow, it was unexpected. I was hoping to move forward, but I got it quicker than I thought. So I was in charge of 10 direct reports, 2 different offices, boom, just like that. Not a lot of training and supervision in management up to that point. A little bit of reading, some in college, and here I go. And of course you got the goals, they're up here. Wow, I had an employee problem. I asked my boss about it. You know what he said? He said, fix it. And the underlying message was, if you can't, I'll get somebody who can. Do you ever hear that? So you know what I did? My old baseball coach gave me some good advice. He said, Rick, just keep learning. The best of the best, keep training. So that's what I did. I went back to the books, bought some books, went to a seminar or 2, spaced them out. Watched some videotapes, listened to tapes and things, and I started learning techniques about dealing with employee problems, handling different types of people, dealing with difficult people, communication techniques, those kinds of things, how to be a manager and do some planning. And I started putting some of those into practice. And one of the things that really helped is I had an employee problem, learned some techniques to be able to do that. One of the suggestions, bring the people together, help them solve their own problem, make some commitments. We did that. It worked. I thought maybe there's something here. So I even started learning some more. And you know what? Over 15 years, I attended over 120 different programs in management and sales and customer service and administration and personal development, a lot of things. And what happened over that period of time, I fast-tracked my career because I was learning, because a lot of times the companies didn't provide it, so I paid for some the company did pay for, and that was helpful. But most managers didn't do the extra. I did. And I got 6 promotions, fast-tracked to an executive level, a VP level, of customer satisfaction and training and organization. And wow, I kept putting these things to practice, knew how to build teams, knew how to deal with conflict because I was learning it and practicing it live with people, finding ways to put it into my own personality. And, all of it built upon another. And not any one program was the best ever. They all kind of went together. Some of them, some weren't as good, some were better. The point was I was learning. And I was training myself. I was developing the talent that I had. Most others weren't. And that's why I moved forward. In retail, the executive position I had, we won 33 quality awards, impact sales 20%, #1 in every product line. In the first supervisory job I had, it was number 2 and 3 out of 55 offices in 22 states. And they made me a consultant to a new startup, and they catapulted to be #1. So all of it showed there was bottom line impact that we could gain by learning and training and developing myself. And so I used that as a philosophy with the people that worked with me, and had some real great success. And I share that with you because that's what this is all about with the Succeeding as a Leader webinar series. Keep learning, keep understanding, keep opening your mind to new ideas and things, fitting it into what you do, looking for ways to leverage your efforts and your impact. And that's the key there. What are the leverage points that'll help you move forward? I was stuck in the beginning, and the learning helped accelerate me out of that. And you need to get help. And I got help. I sought out, as I said, my old baseball coach, went to seminars, talked to the leaders who ran them, talked to other managers that were there. Wow, invaluable learning in a short period of time. More important than anything I'd ever done in college or prior education. It was hands-on, practical kinds of things. Now, a little bit about our organization, Rick Conlow International. We do servant leadership. That's what our focus on. Research shows, and we studied all the leadership styles out there, that servant leadership gets the greatest impact on results. It beats out the good to great companies. It beats out any kind of other approach. And the reason is it focuses on the people who do the work. The rest of it kind of goes back to the mentality of planning and organizing, that kind of an approach. And it's more a procedure policy approach, and it's not a people approach. Servant leadership is about that. My mission is to deal with the management failure I mentioned to you. 82% of managers fail, 85% of employee disengagement worldwide. That's a disaster. We have more leadership training and information available today than ever before, and yet we still have these kind of results. That's a disaster. And what we hope to do is help eradicate that worldwide. Our values, our character, integrity, authenticity, empathy, ethics, honor, and of course, results. And you know what? We see lots of leaders almost every day in the media falling from grace because they don't have these kind of characteristics and values. And we need more of that today. So that's where we want to focus, is keep learning, keep changing, be proactive, continuous improvement. When we do that, amazing things can happen. We can deal with that whirlwind most effectively. Why? Because you're not in it alone. You find out how to tap the power of your team to help you do that. You help them succeed, and they help you succeed. It's amazing how that all goes together as it works. Now, we believe that a manager becomes a leader by inspiring others to succeed. So it's that service focus, leading by example, servant leadership. What can I do to help the team succeed? How can I develop them? How can I delegate some to them so they can advance their careers? Do I even know what they want to do? Do I understand their hopes and dreams and desires for themselves, even their family? And so as I learn to relate to people that way, it's amazing the results that I can accomplish. Because leadership is about the relationship. It's not the reporting structure. This is people working together. We've put people in these boxes in organizations, the corporate structures and the charts that are all made up. And we forget these are real people. People aren't assets. They're not human capital. They're not even, I used to call it the greatest resource. What they are is our partners, our colleagues. They're human beings, and we need a more humane workplace. And that's what these leadership skills over time taught me, and I added to it as I was sifting through some of the stuff that people put in there to just kind of hold us down and keep us back as we think about how to manipulate people. It isn't about manipulation. Leadership isn't even about influence. Some, high-profile leadership gurus call leadership influence. No, it isn't influence, because sometimes leaders have negative influence. And you've had some bad bosses and managers in your career, and that's what their influence is. It doesn't bring out the best in you. It makes you upset. You resent them. It holds you back. You just can't be at your best. Leadership is positive influence. Anything else is something else. Egomaniac, tyrannical leader, dictator, bad boss, but they're not leaders if it's negative. So in the Succeeding as Leader webinar series, we focus on 8 of the key touch points, leverage points that can get you accelerated results in a short period of time, because they're all focused on helping the team succeed, teaching you, refining you on some of the skills that you may already have. If you don't have them, it'll build you from the ground up. And then how to implement those so it gets results to the team where they feel empowered. Why? Because you build a trusting relationship with them. So we started off looking at some of the bigger challenges management faces, and I'll look at some that you have, but streamline that I just talked about, and streamline it. And then we'll look at handling employee performance. This is where many managers fail. They don't do a good job here because it's negative. There's a problem, and then you got to confront it and deal with it, and then to be able to deal with it in a motivating manner. So more positive results happen. Is it perfect? No. Is it better than what's often taught? Yes. And then how do you drive employee engagement? I mean, we've helped our clients achieve, employee engagement results where you've got 70, 80% highly engaged employees, which flips up the numbers, what's happening worldwide. And there are things you can do to get their input, their involvement, their ideas. And that's what we'll go through to show you how to get that done. And then how do you delegate? Delegation is crucial. It's for the career development of the team, and then it's also for leveraging your time as a leader. Because as a leader, we got to do two things at once. On one hand, we got to get the job done today. Let's do it well today. And then on the other hand, we want to do it better tomorrow. We got to be planning for the future. So it's real time, and then it's the future. That we got to balance this, and what we do. And delegation helps us do that, because as we develop the team, they can take on some of the stuff, gives us a chance to work on some of the other issues for continuous improvement to help us catapult results forward. Then we'll focus in on coaching. Wow, I'll tell you what, coaching was one of the biggest things that propelled my career forward as I learned how to do that most effectively. Took a lot of coaching courses, studied them, learned them, applied them with the clients. More than anything, working with my clients, helping them beat results where they thought they could never do that. I had one client wanted to improve sales to existing customers. They've been around 80 years. They were number one in their industry. But they had some new competition coming in, and they wanted to be able to be better, so they brought me in. Says, Rick, help us. So did some planning with them, and we talked about what kind of goal they wanted to have. They thought, let's set up a 15% goal. We'll give the management and the employees a bonus if they hit that. They really thought they'd only get 10%, so they set the bonus a little higher. You know how they do that? And I said, okay, let's do that. And then we put a plan together for training and coaching and rolled it out in the organization, some recognition to go with it. And to make a long story short, we achieved 75% improvement. The management's going, wow! And they paid out a lot of bonus. They didn't mind because they got the revenue that they wanted and they beat the competition. Awesome. Next year came on and we added to that. We added another 55%. People can do incredible things when you invest in them, when you take time for them, when you focus on them to be successful. Then we'll talk about the 10 greatest success secrets of great managers. We spent a couple, 4 years of working on this in terms of what were those 200 different companies that we worked with, 500,000 managers representing 4 to 5 million employees. What were the great managers doing in those organizations? Tie that in with the research that's out there on management derailment, Gallup's research and others. Put it all together and you'll see these things. It emphasizes the leverage points to get results today and to do better tomorrow. And we'll talk about planning. 3 levels of planning, crucial. Can't miss any of them. Got to get the team involved to be able to do it. And then leading with flexibility. How to deal with people from different styles and personalities and be most effective. So that's what we do. You get lots of resources, notes with it. The Unparalleled Leadership ebook. The Goal Power ebook, and then all the webinars will be sent in a link to you so you can tie it into your busy schedule to be most effective. It won't be a scheduled meeting. And then the bonus resources will go with it to challenge your thinking here with a post here, a video here to supplement what you're getting. Powerful 60-day track to be able to make this happen to help you impact your results with your team. Now, we believe almost any manager can become a good leader with commitment to learning, hard work, and helping others succeed. It isn't easy. You got to roll up your sleeves and dig into it. But the payoff is enormous. Now, notice I don't say all managers. And the reason is that if you don't have the value of helping people, and all you want to do is hammer them and beat them up, and look out for what you're interested in, your ego and your recognition and your promotion, what I have to offer isn't going to be of help to you. Because I'm not into manipulation. I'm into positive influence, helping people succeed. Now, let me share with you that secret sauce leadership tip. And it has to do with coaching, because I believe coaching is the secret sauce of leadership. And in coaching, there's 2 types. One is informal, the other is formal. Informal are all the unplanned activities that happen on any given day in the midst of the work that we do with employees. Text, email, phone call, in-person, meetings, where you talk to them for a few minutes, maybe 30 seconds, a minute here, a minute there, 2 minutes there, 30 seconds there. You listen to them, you encourage them, you offer some advice, You reinforce a goal that they're working on. You pay attention to them and give them time. You know, there's kind of that joke that you can never find a manager when you need one. Well, with informal coaching, you're the one that's around. And think about this. Our organization found that any given manager has 40 to 50 informal types of coaching opportunities in any given day. Now, some have more, some have a little less, but that's about the average that we found with the organizations that we worked with. If you take that times 5 days a week, that's 200 times approximately that's going to happen. And each one of those, let's say, takes a minute. That's 200 minutes. And you divide that out, that's about 3 hours a week. Let me ask you a question. All right? Is your team worth 30 hours a week? If they are our partners, and if our success depends on their success, we want to make sure that each of those minutes count. That we're either building them up and helping them. So we're either doing that or we're getting in the way. And so what we teach is how to do that so that it has a positive impact. And then multiply that week times 4 weeks times 13 weeks, and it's huge impact. That are moments of truth with employees and determines employee engagement. Then the other piece, the formal coaching. And that's where you have a scheduled time to sit down one-on-one with an employee and go through their situation, usually 20, 30 minutes long, some a little longer, some a little less, and you go through a process. It's a dialogue, not a monologue. So you're asking questions and you're listening, paying attention, seeing how they are handling their situations, and trying through the process to teach them to think about what they're thinking and solve their own problems so they become self-directed, independent. And that's one of the keys to ramping up results beyond what people think is possible. When you got to say you have a team of 10, adding yourself, you got 11, and wow, the impact you can make if we're all self-directed and focused, star performers, if you will. That's what we're after with coaching. That's why I call it the secret sauce. It is possible. That's why in that organization I mentioned to you earlier, we got 75% improvement when the leadership thought the best they could probably do was 10%. We knocked that out of the water, as I mentioned. Now, also, one other reason those one-on-ones, coaching, the formal ones, should be due monthly. And that leads us up to setting up a great performance management process and review system. The current system of 6 months, once a year, doing a review is broken. It never worked. It isn't working. So we need to focus on how to get that done most effectively. So that's why it's the secret sauce. So as I said, servant leadership kind of mentality as we go forward, help others be successful and get what they want. And then you'll be successful and get what you want. Wow, it's a great combination, isn't it? But notice, first, you focus on the team. The first and only rule of leadership is it's not about you, it's about the team. And that'll help us tap into people power. And we're helping lead a revolution in leadership thought and practice today, that it's all about the people. Yes, we have a digital age. Yes, we are in the new technologies, but people make things happen. And that's where we want to put our focus. So I encourage you to enroll in our Succeeding as a Leader webinar series and make most use of it. You know, the Aquamarina in Florida went out and captured a barracuda and a Spanish mackerel, put them in the same tank of water. Barracuda liked to eat mackerel. The barracuda was hungry, swimming around agitated. Mackerel was swimming over here. Barracuda saw it, went after it. Hit that glass plate, went after it. Hit a glass plate. They had a glass plate in between them. Mackerel, barracuda saw it, went after it, hit the glass plate. Boom, boom, boom. Stopped. Went after it, stopped. Now scientists are observing this phenomena. They see it. They take the glass plate out of the water. Mackerel swimming way over here. Barracuda, hungry, goes after it, stops, swims away. Goes after it, stops, swims away. Why did it stop? It was conditioned. And one of the things learning helps us do, looking for new ideas, pushing ourselves in terms of our comfort zone. Not to be uncomfortable, but comfortable, uncomfortable. To be able to challenge ourselves to move forward so we can look at ourselves honestly, is we got to be willing to break through. Look forward to working with you. Thanks for coming. Take care.